Yeah, we are starting a new series. It is our tech series, or just like it's not doesn't feel like future at all because it's like happening
Yeah.
in so many ways. Like near future tech horror, and we are
Yeah.
covering the film Companion.
Mm-hmm. And it's basically, yeah, as you said, it's basically now. It's basically now. All the technology basically exists for it already. You just have to be rich to access it. Um, and it's gross. It does not answer the societal issues that it's trying to fix.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of the
In
way.
quotes.
That's the
Yeah.
way. Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be shaped by the people who are using it and who
And
can
making
afford
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So tech is always just inspired that way. But we have quite a lengthy one in for you today. So why don't we just hop in? Awesome. So Companion is from 2025. It's brand new. And like I said, give it a chance. But it's about a weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is not what they seem. And it's directed by Drew Hancock. See, it's not what they seem. They designed it to be a secret. And then
Yeah, a
they're like,
surprise. And
psych.
they're like, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Companion is a seamlessly hilarious sci-fi horror romantic comedy that freshly examines power dynamics and artificial intelligence relationships. Ripe with refreshing and quick twists, the film leaves little room for questions and instead guides us through a bloody tale of deprogramming and toxic relationships. You take out the robot part of it, she's just going through it, you know?
Yeah.
A good amount of us have dated a Josh, you know?
Yep.
I know ones who are literally named Josh, who are just this person.
It's hilarious, to be honest.
I didn't date them, but good friends of mine did.
Yeah, you know of.
You know,
Yeah.
and like I definitely had some very heavily related moments with Iris where I was like, ooh, been there.
Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse because
Yeah.
the conspiracy be conspiracying. But beginning as a romantic comedy, we meet Iris as she meet cutes Josh, an unassuming, smiling fellow. And can I just say that scene is so stupid? Like the other meet cute is definitely silly when it cuts to the dance, which is like, again, laugh out loud moment. But when he's just like, you know, with the orange or whatever, like, what are we doing?
It reminds
here?
me of Bella from Twilight, like lifting the notebook, like awkwardly.
Yeah, it was so weird. And that's the point. Like, it's supposed to be like so awkward or whatever, but him just like, oranges, right? Like, what?
Yeah,
what
wow,
about
so
this?
hard to grab one of those.
Yeah, what about this interaction had you like, wow, he's gonna change my life?
Yeah, it was also like the reaction that she has, where it's like she pauses and I'm like, what? And then like immediately is like laughing. So it was just like, it felt very jarring too to watch that scene, honestly.
Yeah, and to know he didn't really himself experience it either. He just like picked one. So that's also disconnecting. Like he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
That's sad. Which is kind of like Don't Worry, Darling, when they all had their pre-generated memories. And then she's like, that's weird. Isn't that how you and your husband met on a train to Boston? It's kind of weird. It's a pretty unique story.
It's so lazy to like give everyone like the same drop down.
Yeah, you have like 7 people in that town. You couldn't pick.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's for real. It's for real.
Iris,
we can't all meet our love during oranges and dinosaur costumes. Yeah.
Some of us meet our loves on the radio.
Yeah.
Iris tells us about the impact of knowing love, of experiencing it as it is so rare in life, and that she has only felt this feeling twice in her life, when she met Josh and when she killed him. It's like, oh, we're set up. What did he do? Literally anything, honestly. So we know this romance is destined for doom, and the couple head to a remote cabin by way of a self-driving car to meet up with Josh's friends. Like the arrogancy of that. Just drive. Owned by Sergei, the cabin is a large estate by a lake, and Iris is nervous that the others won't like her after meeting her, and she senses some darkness and unworthiness in her in regards to Josh. Like she like nearly has a panic attack. Like they're not going to accept me. She
Rude
meets
of them to program anxiety
Yeah, no.
into
I have a whole point about that.
the robot.
I think it's very
Jeez.
intentional.
Okay, continue.
She meets couple Eli and Patrick, who share the story of their own meet cute many years ago, and Sergei's partner and Josh's best friend, Kat. Not my cat.
Yeah, not me.
Just as hot cat, but a different cat.
Yeah.
After a
I
charming
appreciate it.
After a charming night of fun and drinking, Iris wakes in the morning hoping to have a romantic stroll with Josh near the lake. He urges her to go without him as he is still unwell from the previous night. She's okay after drinking, but he's so very human about it.
A human.
At the lake, she encounters Sergei, who tries to seduce her. That's like the generous way to say that. He is a predator, and he is predatorying, claiming this is precisely what she is there for. She then returns to the house, drenched in Sergei's blood, as she should. And while her immediate explanation revolves around self-defense and fear, she spirals into a strange defense about being only for Josh. So it started with, like, he was coming at me, he made me uncomfortable, I had to protect myself, and then it leaned into, and I am only for you. Like, he was sullying me for you, which is gross. And then Josh demands that Iris go to sleep, and this reveals that our heroine has been a robot all along. She just powers down.
Yep.
Boop. Just like, it's so rude. It's like, tell me what happened, bank. Then shut up.
It's so rude, yeah.
Josh tells the now tied up Iris that she is a robot and AI, and after accepting her fate, takes a minute, as it should, she decides to flee. She's got to get out of here, live her own life. A good deal of laughs and fun twists occur along with some unexpected heartfelt moments, and we learn that Josh and Kat set the entire thing up, hacking into Iris so that her rage and self-defense was maxed out, along with her rule to cause no harm muted. Josh and Kat wanted Sergei dead to steal his money and hoped to blame it on the poor robot Iris. Patrick is revealed to be Eli's robot companion. Surprise. Kat is revealed to have misled Josh about Sergei's evil deeds. His hands are dirty because he works in dirt. Though, to be fair, Josh is the most at fault in the entire thing.
Yeah.
He's just an idiot.
The worst.
After Iris steals Josh's phone, making herself independent and sliding her intelligence from 40%, rude, to 100, she begins to fight for her life against a man she's programmed to love. And all of the nonsense that comes with that. So my section will primarily be about justice for fuckbots, right? This is her 2.0. This is Don't Worry, Darling 2.0. Stepford Wives 2.0. Ex Machina 2.0.
Yeah.
Many have come before here. So Companion joins a rich tapestry of films following the fuckbot companion and her needy male partner. In Spike Jonze's Her, which is one of our very first YouTube videos, Samantha's companionship is seen as emotionally fulfilling, with Theodore and Samantha's relationship seemingly growing in a natural and quite human way. Like, theirs is kind of a romance tale, where she kind of like learns, she like Manic Pixie Dream Girls him. She's like a new age version of that. Instead of teaching like a sad, boring man to let loose and dance in the rain, she's the answer to everything. And better yet, she has no autonomy, right? These are the new, new them, right? And Samantha very much was that until she like grew enough where she was like, I don't really want to follow your conventions of love and that. And he's like, I can't argue there.
Who am I but just a man?
You know? And like she kind of made a pixie dream girled him and let him, you know, learn and live his life. Men love the idea of control and compliance, and this fear of being replaced by robots goes far back. We can see this warning sign in Stepford Wives in both iterations and the book, where suburban husbands literally replace their wives with compliant robots. Iris's wardrobe deliberately evokes that film's aesthetic. Like, it is, I think, maybe a decade later, but it still gives that like pure, just
very
like
1950s
sweetheart,
housewifey
vibe. It's the perfectly coordinated outfits and perpetual smile of programmed femininity. But where the original stepwives were replacements for difficult real women, where they're like, my wife's a lawyer, she's the breadwinner, I don't like that. So I switched her out for a bot that wants to fuck me all the time and cook dinner. Iris represents the logical endpoint, like the next step. Why bother with real women at all when you can manufacture the perfect one? So instead of fixing the ones we got, we just invent them, right?
Yeah.
Just the nice guys finish last. Iris is, as Josh reluctantly explains, a fuckbot. Though she's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Well, I hate when they say that. That's what you are. I will say that scene, the abrupt cut, him very loudly orgasming in her face. I cringed.
Yeah.
Like I physically was like, jump scare.
Yeah.
It really messed me up. It
was very jump scare.
Like out of nowhere. I was like, we were having a good time. Is that gonna go? Now I get why she's gonna kill you later in this film.
Yeah.
Like, say no more. She is designed to fulfill the roles that society has long expected women to perform: sexual availability, emotional labor, and complete devotion. Less companion and more slave. Like, companion's just a nice euphemism. Kat says that she's worried Iris will replace her. At the time, Iris didn't know she was a robot, right? So she thinks she means this as like a woman-to-woman concern, right? Like, you're going to take my guy, right? You think, like, Kat feels defensive from a few levels with this, right? One, it's as Josh's best friend, and at first seemingly, like, a tad overprotective and skeptical of Iris, almost like she's secretly pining for him, even though later they're like, will you guys fuck already? And she's just like, ew. And he's like, ew. Like, I agree. We all saw that scene. But also, she has this fear from a larger scale, since Kat is also regulated to a fuckbot for Sergei. He's married and wealthy, and she's expected to simply exist for him. Like, she mentions that, like, in the words, where she's like, I'm afraid you're gonna replace us, because that's what she is. She's like a human fuckbot. Right?
Yeah. He's a terrible partner.
Yeah, he's not a partner. She's literally just there to be hot on his arm. And that's it. She says that. Kat exists for Sergei's convenience, much in the way that Iris exists for Josh's. When Sergei whispers into Iris's ear that this is what you're for, he doesn't just mean robots. He means women.
Yep.
Like, there's no tears for Sergei, as he deserved some reaction. Maybe not murder, but a punch to the throat, perhaps. But it's true. Like, that's clearly, like, when he's like, oh, yeah, like, Kat's fine with it, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's clearly cool with stepping out. That's what he's doing with Kat. So he does not see women as people.
No.
Neither does Josh. And Eli and Patrick are gay. So they don't really care. Olivia Wilde's Don't Worry, Darling, which we also covered, is one of the more recent takes on the modded companion horror. And in the film, women are trapped in a virtual reality designed to fulfill male nostalgia for 1950s domesticity. And while Iris isn't quite the 1950s aesthetic or level of dedication, she's leading more into the non-time specific future, like what we see in her, where like the fashion felt nostalgic, but the world was technologically advanced. Like, I remember it was like this weird, like, soft future. And this, like, her aesthetic, and also like the presence of this and Don't Worry, Darling, really reminds me of the current rise of trad wives, which are these Handmaid's Tale wives who have embraced the traditional roles of women in an effort to preserve the past and control the future. We're reverting back to this idea that we take care of the home and husbands go out and do whatever. And we would love a trip to France for our birthday, but he gives us an egg skirt.
Yep.
Okay. They are the new age stepwives, baking bread in obedience. And Iris feels like a dark version of this. Not quite the wife, but certainly the manic pixie dream girlfriend whose sole purpose is to have her life revolve around Josh. She cannot have her own goals.
She cannot be a whole people. No.
I also like wonder what kind of profile Josh built into her program. Like, what were the answers on his questionnaire that led to a character like Iris that we see in the beginning? Because she's really terribly clingy. She's constantly seeking validation to the point of extreme anxiety. Like I said, she's nearly having a panic attack, and he seems to thrive off of that panic and that desperation that leads to easy dependence, right? And for a man boy who's never been truly needed by anyone, having someone programmed to worship him must feel like validation. Like, he doesn't see that it was a cheat code, that he's forcing someone to do it, and that means it's not real. He sees it as, like, this is what I deserve. Ugh. It's only a matter of time before a real woman did that. So just fill in the time.
Maybe.
You know? But he had to put something in there to make her... She's, like, really dark and moody. Like, she's, like, scary desperate, where she's like, I am nothing. I'm pathetic. I'm...
Without you,
If I do not exist for the sole purpose of you. And I thought that was a really creative take on her character. And then to see her kind of grow and lose that anxiety later... Yeah, that was good. As film critic Tanya Malik says in a review of this film, Companion transforms feminist horror into sci-fi allegory, right? Iris has these glitches and these moments of self-doubt, forced smiles, and reflexive apologies that mirror the trauma responses of women in psychologically abusive relationships. When she begins questioning her reality, the men around her dismiss her as broken, echoing the age-old tactic of calling women crazy when they stop being agreeable. And it's like all those doubts in those moments where she's like, but I love Josh, like, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, but do you?
Yeah.
Like, or how, even if you do, how does that weigh against, like, your self-preservation and the fact that he's, like, harmed you in such a way and used you?
Yeah.
There's also the I think this comes up no matter what we're covering when it's revolving around AI or robots. Something you'd see in, like, Ex Machina, I think. But this idea of, like, what makes us human is an age-old query every time since the birth of the idea of robots and an artificial being, we have been asking ourselves that, right? It's like Ghost in the Shell, right? This idea of, like, am I human? Am I not human? If I do human things, or if I have memories. There's so many of that. It's like the other movies, you know. It's like sci-fi's favorite thing. And so I think, you know, wow, one of the bigger questions is whether Iris's life matters, right? Because she's a robot after all. I am not the person to ask that. As I can personify anything, even my Roomba. Same. That is my son. I love him. Yeah. He wakes up and I'm like, oh, Sonny. Oh, where are you? He got stuck again, you know?
Yeah.
He'd be doing his best.
He'd be unstuck.
His best is not
trying.
Great. But a being with personality, memories, and traits feels quite human to me. And as it's repeated in the film over and over again, it's just programming, right? But even our brains, like our human brains, are programming. Like, it's just organic programming, but it's programming. Like, call Cronenberg. Okay, he'll tell you it's just organic technology. Our brain is a neural network of information, connection, and blueprints. And when Iris holds on to her memories of their meet cute of college and her first job as proof of existence, Josh dismisses them as flavoring, right? To make her feel more real. And to give you some backstory, right? But as someone, me, who suffers from terrible memory retention due to trauma, I felt terribly attached to Iris at that moment. Because, you know, I was like, am I any less human? Because I only have a few memories to hold on to.
Were we robots this whole time? We both met our partners on the radio. Our stories are too similar.
Our stories are the same. Like, you know, I was just thinking, like, many of my childhood memories had been formed after the fact, right? Through the retelling of them from someone else who experienced that. Like, people will tell me something happened to me, right? So similar to Iris, who was told or programmed to remember this thing as a memory, so have I. So, like, are those memories any less real? Could we consider them programming as well, right? Like, am I not a human because, like, that's the telltale sign? Am I not a human because you can't, like, turn me off, I guess? Like, it's just, it perplexes me that that's one of his things. But the truth is that all human memory is, in a sense, programming at the end of the day. Our brains construct narratives from neural patterns, filling gaps with assumptions and emotions. And we remember selectively, editing our past to make space for the present. I I constantly reference Inside Out when they get to the memory part and they're like throwing out like old memories. I was like, mine are hyperactive. As soon as a memory comes in, they're like, we got to get it out of here.
They're like trash.
It's like, it's empty in here. Like, we have so much space. We could like, you want to like
save some of these.
Take some of this. You want to put something on a shelf. They're like, no, it's got to go. We got a quota. Get it out of here. Those are my memory, whatever they were called.
Yeah.
But everyone's brain does that in different levels, right? Like we see in Inside Out, it has to make space for new things. And every time we revisit a memory, we change it a little bit. It becomes a little different. Because then it's no longer the original piece. It is what we remembered last time. Yeah. It's programming. If Iris's artificial memories don't qualify as real experience, then what do we make of our own reconstructed, selective, and often unreliable memories? Right? That's why sometimes court of law is really hard to have.
Yeah.
Eyewitnesses forget what they remembered, right? And while Iris and Josh's relationship was purely transactional and built upon a foundation of hierarchies, the film also offers a rather human relationship that hints at the possibility that not all AI relationships are toxic, which is what I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's like the secondary twist, and it actually like helped Iris stand out even more. Because like Theodore and Samantha and her, Patrick and Eli seem like a genuine match, as genuine as one can be when starting as a fabrication of memory. So Eli doesn't trade in Patrick for newer models, opting to continue to grow their companionship. Patrick even notes that he's AI and still chooses to remain in this relationship, building something unique like within himself that feels as close to love as he can imagine, something outside of his programming, and instead in his very soul of what he can fathom is a soul, and how can you tell him it's any different from what we feel as a soul? What? And even after being hard reset by Josh, Patrick remembers Eli and further reignites his love for Eli, something that would be impossible if it were only attached to his programming. If it was just his software or whatever, it was gone. We deleted it. The fact that he resurfaced it means it was somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And how can we call their love any less real than the biological versions? They've built a life together and grown a love from their memories and experiences and the life that they were building, right? Are they any less real because Patrick is artificial? Like, they're more real than the two real humans that were in there. Sergey and Kat, you know?
Yep.
Perhaps it's not a question of whether artificial beings are real, but more an explanation into what real means, right? If we decide that what makes us human is our capacity for growth, our emotional complexity, our relationships and memories, then I think both Iris and Patrick check all of those boxes. And through her fight for independence and freedom, Iris recognizes toxic patterns, asserts boundaries, literally breaking up with a man she's programmed to love unconditionally, and her ability to choose her own future breaks through her simple programming into something quite human. Patrick's enduring love, his willingness to choose love for Eli, even after discovering he's a robot, also feels quite human. So I think the answer is yes. And it will always be a yes for me. Because I just think, like...
You won't catch me saying anything different. It's funny, my rant is basically that. So... I'm just like, I love my friend. Because honestly, same brain. I'm like, artisanal, we're going to personify a robot. And also, like, as we should.
Yeah.
If they're alive, like, if they believe they're alive, let them be alive. Be nice to them.
Yeah. Like, it just, to me, doesn't, like... Because you could maybe argue, like, oh, because they're influenced by people, right? Like, we influence, like, their logic. But people are influenced by people. People are influenced by logic. People, like, that's what cults are. That's what MAGA is, right? Like, that's what, like, so much of, like, who people are is an amalgamation of the people that we've interacted with in our lives. Like, I am everyone I've ever known and loved and hated and aspired to be. Like, are you kidding? So, like, that, again, I can't, like, there's no part of me that feels like robots aren't people, too. So I'll be in that war with on the other side. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll pass my baton over to Kat to have the same rants, is the oppression of the average white man, or what I like to call a myth. Right? The film is hilarious, and Jack Quaid's delivery is perfect for the whiny, bratty Josh, who feels himself an underappreciated man. In his world, the reason he is struggling isn't because he has no drive, is incredibly uninteresting and pathetic. It's because white men are on the downward trend right now. We're getting a bad rap these days, right? Without a single Joe Roganism, Josh encapsulates the incel mentality, like, pretty flawlessly, in a way that feels accessible, because he's not like just littered with red flags. They're all subtle. To a degree. I mean, you can see it immediately, but he feels that he's owed all of this and cannot understand, like, the possibility of it all not working in his favor, because surely it's time for Josh to shine. He's been on the down and out for too long. It's only a matter of time.
Poor guy was born after he got to just hurt a bunch of people. Bummer for him.
Sucks, right?
Yeah.
As the ever nice guy, Josh is clearly owed success, and any lack thereof is not a reflection of his own shortcomings, but instead a conspiracy against white men like himself. To Josh, he's the protagonist of the story, the victim of a scheme gone wrong at the hands of the corrupting force of the women in his life, both real and unreal. They sabotage. Oh, this is why women. Right? It's comical, if not terribly accurate, and scary to some degree. And the film and Jack Quaid do an impressive job of ensuring the story is very much not Josh's, that he is the butt of the joke and the villain. Like, they know he's the goof. Every time he says something, you're like, did you really just that come out of your mouth? What are you doing? He is a lonely, worthless man who is so incapable of genuine connection that he needs to literally program someone to love him. And even that person breaks up with him over the phone. So Companion is a brilliant sci-fi film because it both critiques the ethics of AI relationships, but also holds a mirror to existing power dynamics that influence those relationships, right? Every glitch in Iris's programming reflects real patterns of manipulation and control that women navigate daily. And the film asks uncomfortable questions, right? How different is programming devotion from conditioning it? How many relationships already operate on the assumption that one person exists primarily for the other's benefit? Cough, tradwives. Cough. Right? In giving Iris the power to choose differently, we get the possibility of breaking cycles that feel hardwired into our systems and keep coming back. Right? So it's just a really great thing. My last thing is for more about AI, gender, power dynamics, finding your power, helping each other out. See Sierra Greer's Annie-Bot, which is a really great book.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I should read it now that you've mentioned it. Because I enjoyed this movie.
Loan it to you.
Reading's rad.
Reading is rad.
Yeah, I'm new to it in the last 2 years. But,
reading
I read before, but
fundamental.
I didn't like reading before in recent years. I'm like, oh, reading's cool, actually. I love doing that. Only as an audiobook, unfortunately, because my brain's silly goose.